Alright, this is my third time attempting this video. I did not like the first two takes, so let's try it again. WNBA All-Stars. Was getting into it this season. The voting is just about to come to a close, and I think it's about time I reveal my ballots and who I think should be on that All-Star team, at least for the starters. At least for the starters. Um, Reserves, that might be a different video because I have tried this and I have been pretty long-winded, so this may go on for a while just talking about the starters, but frig it, this is my channel. This is my channel. Friggin' do something on your own. Do something yourself, man. If you really want to do it, or just leave a comment below. I don't know. But WNBA All-Stars, let's start out with the guards. And for the guards, I have been mulling it over, and I brought it down to 5 candidates that I gave heavy consideration for the guards. And one of these players, you might say, I don't know, that's kind of maybe a forward, but hey, the WNBA website lists them as a guard, so that has to be the case that I list them as a guard if I want to put them on this team. These 5 players are Caitlin Clark, Olivia Miles, Ryan Howard, Paige Beckers, and Kelsey Plum. And I think the case for them is kind of obvious for each one. Olivia Miles took the league by storm, one of the best playmakers in the association already with really good scoring threat and scoring efficiency. Kelsey Plum, the defense, we'll ignore it, but the offense and offensive efficiency, averaging, I forget what she is right now in terms of PPG, but like above 20 points per game on 65% true shooting, uber elite efficiency, along with the scoring and overall offensive threat. Paige Beckers, also like a 20 a game, efficient, really good playmaker passer while also keeping the turnovers fairly low. Caitlin Clark, the counting stats are absolutely crazy, bonkers, one of the best passer playmakers in the league. And as of recent, the scoring has taken a different level for her. And then Ryan Howard. And Ryan Howard is that player that's like, that may be a forward, but WNBA lists him as a guard. So that's how we have to classify her as. And, I also saw some Alicia Gray and, Ryan Howard versus Alicia Gray. And after last night's game against the Valks, Ryan Howard's averages and stuff have gone down because, that was not a good game. But we'll ignore that for these purposes for right now. But overall for the season, Ryan Howard has been averaging nearly the same points per game as Gray, while also being, after that game, basically just as efficient. So Ryan Howard is providing that threat as a scorer while also being the secondary ball handler, playmaker, passer on the team, while also being a shoo-in for first team all defense. I think she has an immense responsibility on her shoulders, and she has carried that to extremely high level, while also the Dream have been one of the top teams in the association. And I think that deserves to be recognized. So overall, I think the 3 guards that I really, really want to put on the list are Olivia Miles, Paige, and Ryan Howard. I really do want to put those 3 on, and I've seen Ryan Howard of those 3 that I want to put on might be the most. I don't know, man. I don't know, but it's like that defense is kind of crazy. Wow, because Ryan Howard is shooting basically the same amount of volume as threes as she usually does, like 9 threes a game, and instead of like 33 or 32%, she's now shooting like 36%, and that's kind of a big deal when you're shooting 9 threes a game, which is brought her to like I forget what her true shooting is at right now. I think before it was at near 59. I think it might now be around 56 just because of that absolute stinker in the second game against the Valks. But that efficiency is, like I said, is still around Alicia Gray's level. So that efficiency along with that defense, I have to, I think I have to put her on, especially because the Dream have been rolling. So the main 2 for the guard spot, it last comes down to either Kelsey Plum or Caitlin Clark. And the defense for both is kind of a concern, but Kelsey Plum, that defense, I don't know, Jim. Along with the fact that Kelsey Plum has played 5 less games than Caitlin Clark and will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So even if she does get voted in, or I mean, this is my ballot, so it doesn't really matter. But if I were to put her in, Caitlin Clark would basically be the injury player. Caitlin Clark would basically be the injury replacement. So it doesn't truly matter. And this is also my ballot. Like, my ballot actually means anything. It doesn't. Who would I put on? And I've mulled this over so many times. But I don't know. It's like 65 true shooting for Kelsey Plum is absolutely nuts. And Caitlin Clark, like I said, has the counting stats, the volume, um, and also has, like I said, the games played edge. So it really, honestly, does come down to how much I want to weigh the 5 game difference in availability, which it matters more so because the WNBA is a shorter seasons than, say, the NBA. So it's not like, if I forget when All-Star break happens, if it's like 53 or 50 games in, it's not like, okay, X player has played like 49 games versus X player playing 42 games. But I think, ah, for the purposes of this, well, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, KP basically would be an injury replacement because, like I said, she's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So Kelsey so Caitlin Clark would be the spot in. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't truly matter. I don't have to pick one. I'll pick. I guess I'll pick Caitlin Clark. I don't know. 5 game difference in games played while also still having counting stats, and the Fever are a better team. But I'm also, when we get to the front court, it's like, should the Fever get 2 all-star players in the starters? And it's like, I don't know. I still really want to award Kelsey Plum because 65 true shooting is crazy, man. That's 65 true shooting, man. Come on. I don't know. I'll move on. Who's that last guard spot? I don't know. You decide. Now moving on to the front court. I will start out with Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Natasha Howard. I think those are non-negotiables. They've been absolutely crazy. They've been on the top teams in the league, and they have been playing at absolutely bonkers levels. I think Asia and Stewie are self-explanatory, but just in case anyone's not wondering, Natasha Howard has been one of the most efficient, not only play finishers, but she has the creation juice with the post play, with the hook shots and whatnot. And then even then being a play finisher off of setting those screens with Olivia Miles, and then been a really good impactful defensive player on the best team, I think, record-wise in the association right now. So yeah, the Lynx, it's like, if they deserve 2 starters, and Natasha Howard has absolutely been playing at the level that warrants being an all-star starter. So those are the 3 shoo-ins, I think, for me. Other forwards that I am giving consideration are Jessica Shepard, Aaliyah Boston, Jonquel Jones, Angel Reese, Gabby Williams, and Alyssa Thomas. To start with, and Alyssa Thomas is certainly not the most popular player right now. That would be an understatement. But I will knock AT because I think the impact this year, and the Phoenix Mercury have not been a good team at all. And that's part of it. But yeah, the Mercury have not been a good team, and Alyssa Thomas has, I think, regressed as a player. Of course, we all know the scoring limitations, and that has basically, with the loss of Satu, made it so that AT has have to, in my opinion, rise as a scorer, and she has not done that to the level that I think warrants her being an all-star starter. I think the defense has also waned compared to previous seasons, so I will knock AT from consideration there. So it then falls on to the other, I don't remember how many other names I listed, but those other names. I'll start out with Gabby Williams is an interesting case because the Valkyries are one of the better teams in the association. I think record-wise they're probably top 5 or in the mix or something like that. I'm going off of vibes because, like I said, I don't want the freaking camera to do too much cutting out, because I think that's how a lot of what was causing the video to friggin' get out of sync or whatever. So Gabby Williams is an interesting case because early part of the season and going into the season, we were looking at the Falcons like, Veronica Burton, let's go, VB. And VB started out pretty good with the assists and the low turnovers and whatnot, but also the scoring threat, especially the latter half of this early part of the season. Veronica Burton as a scorer has been, I don't know, Jim. It's not good. But then in the midst of Veronica Burton having that shooting slump, Gabby Williams has stepped up to the plate, been better as a scorer. Obviously, we know she can be a secondary playmaker and passer. The slashing is really good. Last night, she closed the game out against the Dream really strong. Of course, that's last night. I say that's just a one-time thing, but it's not, because the scoring has been there in this, like I said, latter half of this early part of the season. And then she's an elite defensive player. Also has a really great argument for first team all defense. She is probably, her and Ryan Howard are the best perimeter defenders in the league. So she's one of the best defensive players while also being a really impactful offensive player, especially for what this Valkyries offense needs of her, along with the team being good. She does have a good case. I feel like I'm probably going to put her in, but I'm not entirely too sure just yet. Jonquil Jones is another really interesting case because she has been really, really efficient. And I don't know if this is just because Liberty fans are like really, really hard on their players. And I mean, I think they expect greatness because, I mean, with the roster that they have, they want to win a championship. And then there's also, this is a New York fan base. And then they know what it's like to win a title because they won in 2024 with Jonquil Jones winning finals MVP. Of course, there are moments where JJ has, I don't know about the defensive effort or motor. Liberty fans have been not too happy sometimes with JJ's rebounding. But still, I think the efficiency and what she can do, putting the ball on the floor um, against those bigs, the slower footed bigs. She's one of the most skilled bigs in the league, which makes her case very interesting. But it's also like sometimes she can fade just because the Liberty are kind of stacked with, who can go off on any particular night. Some days it could be Satu Sabali, Pauline Astier, Stewie, of course. Beebish can have hot shooting, so it's like the Liberty, like anyone can eat on the Liberty, and that's always a very, very tough. Like, should we reward her for that? And sometimes, like I said, she can kind of fade in and out. It feels like over the course of a game. So that's an interesting one. Aaliyah Boston, I think she's been looking a lot better recently. Not to say that the early part of the season she was like, but I think early part of the season with Aaliyah Boston, we were looking like, you're good. Don't get me wrong, but especially after the season she had last year, I think we were expecting, it's like, you're good, but I thought you would reach a higher level. And I think over the course of this recent stretch, Aaliyah Boston has been looking better and more so like the player that a lot of people have been expecting. And of course, she has added a 3-point shot. I think defensively, it has been up and down at times. I think the post defense has been good. I think what she's been doing on switches or playing at the level has been a little underrated. But sometimes as a paint protector, you wonder, AB, I feel like you should maybe block that or have better contests, or sometimes she gets in foul trouble. So defensively, I think it's just because a lot of people have high expectations for Aaliyah Boston, and maybe sometimes she has not reached quite those high expectations, but she's still been one of the most impactful players in the league. So she deserves heavy consideration there. Jessica Shepard, the wings have been better than what a lot of people have thought. And Jessica Shepard has been a really, really good offensive player for them, being the passing hub, getting it to Paige Az, those wings guards off those screens, the cuts to the basket. She has been finding them, dotting them up, while also being, I think she has the second best rebounds per game average. So has been a really, really good rebounder, been really efficient, especially as abusing mismatches. So Jessica Shepard has obviously a great case there. The downside is the defense, and Wings fans will not be quiet about the fact that Jessica Shepard is also one of the worst defensive players in the association. And when you are a big and one of the worst defensive players, that gives quite a big detriment to what you can be for the health of the team. Still, though, the Wings are really good. And am I missing anyone? Um, hmm. Did I forget? Is that everyone? Oh yeah, Angel Reese. Angel Reese also one of the best rebounders. No, not one of the best. The best rebounder in the association. You look at what she does on the O boards compared to what everyone else does. And shout out to Natasha Howard because I believe she's still second in offensive rebounds per game. Angel Reese is first, and I think she averages like nearly two to three more offensive rebounds than Natasha Howard, who's in second place. And I think Natasha Howard has been hovering around like 3-0 boards per game. Angel Reese has been at like 5 to 6. Yeah, nuts. Angel Reese has been doing that on the O boards while also being one of the best defensive players in the association, basically a shoe-in for one of those all-defensive teams. So the defense is elite. The offensive rebounding, the rebounding is elite. The scoring can be up and down. The efficiency is still not quite to the area that a lot of people desire, including myself. So I do think she still needs to be more efficient than what she is. But still, I think the defense, the rebounding, legitimately the defense and the rebounding carries a lot of value in the association. And sometimes that gets undervalued, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. So, who are my front court picks? And this might be controversial for who I'm probably going to leave off of here. I'm probably going to put on, and let's see, the three that I had to start were Asia, Stewie, and Natasha Howard. I'm feeling to put on Aaliyah Boston, Gabby Williams, and Angel Reese. That might be controversial, especially because JJ has been like really, really efficient and good, and it's like and obviously she still has good rim deterrence because she is just so tall and can affect shots at the basket like that. Um, but I still think for what Aaliyah Boston and what Gabby Williams have had to do for their respective teams in being their teams have tasked them with being a bigger offensive threat. Well, also, Gabby Williams certainly has to shoulder more of a defensive burden, or shoulders more of a defensive burden. Um, I still think Aaliyah Boston has been really good. The play finishing sometimes can be a bit. I do know that, and I just do think Jonquel does have the efficiency edge. I am still more partial to Aaliyah Boston for what the Fever need out of her, and the level that she's played at, even if maybe not to the level that we expected, is still really high. So I'm gonna put Aaliyah Boston and Gabby Williams on there, and I want to put Angel Reese on there as well, just because, like I said, the defense and rebounding are to that high of a level. Like what she does on the O boards and giving her teams extra opportunities, combining that with elite defense, I think there's immense value in that. And she also still averages like what? I forget what her PPG she averages. It's still, I think, enough to put her on the team, especially considering the team success that the Atlanta Dream have had in the association. I'm still unhappy about leaving Jonquel Jones off just because as a player, she is, like I said, one of the most skilled players out there. And the Liberty have also been one of the top teams. The efficiency, the skill, it's tough to deny her, to leave her off. I do feel bad about that. And then Jessica Shepard, I know people have been very enthralled, especially with the raw PRA stuff, and I'm not trying to deny that. I do think though that I do think it gets a little undervalued what exactly the off-ball movement of those guards opens up for her in her playmaking and both attacks to the basket. Just like, of course, she does need to deliver the ball to them, but what those guards do, running all those off ball actions, opens up a lot for her offensively. And also, the defense is that bad, in my opinion, to where I'm just like, I don't know. You can get in as a reserve, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm feeling Gabby Williams, Aaliyah Boston, and Angel Reese as my front court to supply or supplement Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Natasha Howard. And then my guards, like I said, are Olivia Miles, Paige Beckers, Ryan Howard, and freaking toss up between Kelsey Plum, Caitlin Clark. It doesn't really matter. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's my list. Make your own or something. I don't freaking know, man. Also, don't take this seriously. Please be nice. It's like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's just basketball. Please be nice.